are able to vote. So I want y'all to get over to AM 1300 The Zone right now on Twitter. And we got the Covert Huddle plays of the week. Make sure you get over there to Covert Huddle. So the plays of the week are Jack Golick's 10 3-pointers last night for Oakland. He was draining it against Calipari and sent them home. So Oakland with the big 10 threes last night. Mookie Betts went 4 for 6 and hit the first home run of the season in the major leagues yesterday. And Kyrie Irving hit a game-winning left-handed hook from the free throw line. Wow, think about that. Kyrie Irving, left-handed hook from the free throw line. We've seen it before. Kobe did that before. Shout out to Kobe. And we also want to ask you the question, is John Calipari overrated basketball coach right now? Everybody, 78% is saying yes. Some of them, 21% is saying no. So you start looking at John Calipari and what's going on with them. And it's a little bit different when you start to think about what's been happening with basketball, when you start to look at what's going on with them. So you sit here, and we were talking about women's basketball. So make sure you get over to the Moody Center today. First game starts at 2 o'clock. Texas tips off, and they start the proceedings over there. They got 2 games over there today. Texas versus Drexel, number 16 Drexel at 2 p.m., followed by number 8 Alabama taking on Florida State. That starts at 4:30, all at the Moody Center. All session tickets are on sale right now. You can go to texassports.com for tickets, $34 for reserve, $30 for general admission, and $20 for the youth. So if the kids want to go out, you got that get out of school today for March Madness, go ahead and take care of that business. The Texas women are 30-4 this season. Only other Power 5 team with 30-plus wins is the number 1 team and defending champion, South Carolina. But here's the deal. I want you to be able to listen to my man Michael Huff. Listen to what Michael Huff had to say when he talks about this Texas women's team and what he's going to do for you. So check this out. On the support from a guy like Michael Huff, lifetime Longhorn legend, still working with the football team. I got a chance to see him the other day and talk to him the other day. So you sit there and you start looking at this university and where it's going. You heard yesterday when Coach David Pierce joined us. And if you missed any part of the show yesterday or all week, make sure you get over to AM 1300 The Zone, go to the iHeartRadio app, wherever you get your podcast, and make sure you listen to that. But Coach Pierce talked about the Texas women's basketball team. He talked about Rodney Terry, getting him ready to go and getting that victory. So this team and this university is all cheering for each other. They're pulling for each other to be able to continue this movement in which they have created a winning culture here at the university. So when you get that opportunity to hear those types of people talking about each other and pulling for the coaching staff, Coach Vic Schaefer is one of the best motivators that is out there. He's got Madison Booker, and I went through her list of accolades yesterday and how good she is as a basketball player and what's been expected of her. And we'll hear from Coach Vic in the second hour as we talk about this game and prepare you for this basketball game. But when you start to look around college basketball, and you look at what University of Texas have done, the women, since Vic Schaefer has arrived at the university, he too has put his plan in place. He too has cultivated Texas basketball, women's basketball again. He's packed out the Moody. He's put up $10,000 of his own money to match how many people are able to get into the facility to watch the game. And that Moody Center has now created a true home court advantage. So when you start looking at this University of Texas, and I know we're the exclusive home to listen to all the games, so you can have all the insider information. Yes, there's great people in this town that do a great job, but this is where you come and to understand what's truly going on. This university has changed so much over the last few years with the coaching hires that Chris Del Conte has been able to achieve to bring in these coaches here at this university. When you start looking across the country and you starting to feel like, hey, which university is trending in the right direction in all sports? I don't even talk enough track and field, golf, or tennis. Championships are here. We got beach volleyball here now. We got rowing. They have done an unbelievable job. All of the coaches. Soccer won the Big 12. I mean, you sit here and you watch and see how much fun the university is having at this time. Because we were all around when things weren't so good. So when he asked you guys to come out and support, if Michael Huff is saying, I want to get all the students in to the game, University of Texas, all you got to do is bring your ID, and you hadn't had an opportunity to go and watch this women's basketball team, now's your time. Now's the time for you to do so. And that's a fun time. And if you're not a University of Texas student and you need tickets, go to texassports.com right now, /tickets, and you can get reserved seating. Because what you're witnessing here at this university is one of the future faces of the university in Madison Booker. She's going to be one of the future faces of college basketball. And the nation is getting an opportunity to see how good this young lady truly is. So don't miss on these opportunities, man. Because a lot of times these players, they come and go, right? And you're going to be like, man, I've heard about her, but I didn't get a chance to see her. No, get a chance to see her because she's very, very special. And like I said before, she's not the only one that is special when you think about this team. Aaliyah Moore has done a great job. She's healthy now. She was asked yesterday during the media availability, does she feel like she's in a good spot as far as her health is concerned? She said, yes, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to play right now. That's the energy. She's only a junior. But then you look at Shay Holly, what she's been able to do. A young lady that Danny Davis of the Austin American-Statesman, he came on and he said every year she just finds her way onto the court. She's been told, you may not play this year. You may not be able to start. You may not do – she's done it all. And she's achieved at a high level. And it goes back to what Coach Rodney Terry was talking about just a little while ago, where he said you're going to look at the box score and you're going to think, oh, well, he didn't score that many points. Well, you do the same thing on Shay Holly, but you look at the box score, she's guarding the best player on the other team every time, unless it's a post player. Their best players most of the time are guards. And she's been able to handle that business every single time. So I'm proud of Vic Schaefer, 30 wins. They're 30-4. Only 2 teams in the country had 30 wins in Power 5. South Carolina, undefeated, and Vic Schaefer and his squad, 30-4. This after losing probably, arguably, one of the best players in college basketball in a Rory Harmon. But they developed another point guard in Madison Booker. So I'm not even I'm worried about this game, and I'm not saying this to be crazy, but think about next year's squad with Rory Harmon being healthy, Madison Booker already gone through the fire, and she's continuing to go. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be rough at times, but her heart and determination and the way that she carries herself and the way that she plays, she's going to be around here and she's going to get her name up in the rafters at some point. So you have two players here that you are getting an opportunity to witness achieve at a very high level, led by a man in Vic Schaefer who coaches his butt off. And his staff has done an unbelievable job from recruiting, from getting players back healthy, from being able to teach these young ladies how the game is supposed to be played. You got to put some respect on Vic Schaefer. He's one of the best, and he's passionate, about what he wants from his team. I remember our very first conversation with Vic Schaefer. We had him on the show. He just became the new Texas women's basketball coach. And we asked him his philosophy. What is your defensive philosophy? He said, we're guarding them once they get off the plane. And if you watch the games, that's exactly how they play. They play that hard, they play with that intent, and they play to destroy their opponent, to wear them down. You got 4 quarters. You got 4 quarters to get it done. And that's what Texas has been able to do this season to a tune of 30-4. So make sure y'all get over there. Go see Madison Booker, Big 12 Player of the Year, first Texas woman to win Big 12 Player of the Year in the Big 12. Vic Schaefer up for a semifinalist for the Naismith Award. Madison Booker made all kinds of All-American teams. As we said, she was the most outstanding player in the Big 12 tournament. So she's done a great, great job of leading this team in a position that she wasn't supposed to be playing. So I'm impressed with it. And get over to the Moody today and then come across and watch Texas baseball. Go across the street, you get to watch Texas baseball right after that. It's amazing. It's amazing when you get a chance to see it. I also want to make sure that you get over to AM 1300 The Zone on Twitter. Make sure you do that because we have a few polls that are out there. Is John Calipari an overrated head coach, an overrated basketball coach? I'm not going to put him in that overrated, okay? I'm not going to say that because he's done some great things. He's putting NBA players in there. He's done some awesome things. So you start to look at this and you say, all right, what has he done? Well, lately, they have not been very good. Last 4 playoff appearances, last 4 final NCAA March Madness. They missed the tournament in 2021. In 2022, they lost in the first game against St. Peter. 2023, they made it to the round of 38 and lost to K-State. And then yesterday, by 10 threes by the Oakland sharpshooter, that man that looks like he's about 30, Jake Goley, they beat him, and now they're out of the tournament. And John Calipari, just 4 days ago, said that his teams were built for March. Well, don't look like your team was ready for March. They might have been built for it, but they weren't ready for it. And it just goes to show you, no matter how much talent that you have on these teams, things change and they change quickly. So I'm just telling you, if you go out there any given night, you can lose or win a basketball game. You can win or lose a football game. You can win or lose a baseball game. You have to be dialed in. You have to understand what your role is. And in March, some guys get hot, some guys get cold, and you want to make sure that you're hot at the right time because that's all it's going to take. Keep it going, and let's get it going. Coming up next, we got my man Zach coming on, Zach at the Dish on Twitter. Make sure you check it out. He's going to be coming on to talk a little bit of Texas baseball as they get back in the Big 12 play. And we'll ask him some basketball questions too, because, you know, it is March Madness, and I need to know who his bracket winner is coming up with. He's of orangebloods.com, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Hard Knocks Life on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. Welcome back to the Hard Knocks Life right here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. I am Mike Hardge. As he said, make sure you hit a message and send it over to me by texting the word Texas, followed by your message to 81530. That's the word Texas, followed by your message to 81530. Standard data and message rates may apply. Joining me on the Hard Knocks Life right now is my man Zachary Sam. We call him Zach at the Dish. You can follow him on Twitter at Zach at the Dish. What up, Zach? I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you, brother, because you and I, we ran into each other in Occupy Left Field the other day and just kind of was bouncing things off of each other, talking about this baseball team. And as Texas baseball, as they get ready to get back into Big 12 play, along the way, there's been those ups and downs as always. This weekend, you got LeBaron Johnson on the bump. Ace Whitehead is making his first start of the season, and Max Grubbs is going to finish out on Sunday. But what are some of your biggest takeaways this year for the Texas Longhorns?
Yeah, I think this year, Texas has, as Coach Pierce likes to say, has not played consistent in all three phases. They've got all the pieces together. They've got a really good hitting team. They've got some really talented arms.
Crank that up over the speakers louder.
And then defensively, they just haven't been as clean as you'd like to see. But then you have games where they're just, absolutely stunning on the field in one of those phases or put two of those phases together. And so it feels like they're starting to kind of round that out and get back into what we kind of expect from them, which is a team that can score as many runs as they want to in a game while keeping the other opposing batters just off the field.
Yeah, and you start to think about it, you got to develop that pitching staff, and that's one of the biggest questions that Texas has had for this season. But then you also got to look at the offensive side of the ball. I mean, this team has done some amazing things at the plate. We expected Porter Brown to give big numbers. He struggled a little bit at the very beginning, but he's been hitting bombs. And then you look at Jared Thomas and what he's been able to do at the top of that lineup. But in the middle of this lineup, you're getting some help from some different guys. Jalen Flores has hit the ball very well, and Max Ballou has surprised a lot of folks. When you start looking at this Texas baseball team and the way that they're starting to swing the bat, you brought up the fact of what they were doing at the plate and scoring runs. But is this the offense that you thought you would see from this team?
To some extent, yeah. I mean, you look at Max Ballou as an example. He's tied for the Big 12 lead in home runs with his compatriot Jalen Flores. Both those guys can hit. Coming out of high school, they were both known as hitters. You can see in Jalen Flores, when he gets extension, he's hitting it deep. With Max Ballou, the power's been there. It's just been about confidence. But the middle of the lineup has really impressed in terms of the ability to help just power through. I think the one thing you haven't seen the Texas runners do is steal as much as you probably thought you would, because they've got a lot of team speed. But yeah, I mean, they lead the Big 12 in home runs, and they're starting to put up those power numbers at home even, which is impressive, because the Dish doesn't play small, as you know.
Yeah, the Dish is something that I love going out there. And as you said, those balls that are being hit, they're going a long way. I mean, Ryan Galvan hit a ball the other day, straightaway center field, well, just right of it. And then the other day, he hit one to left field that went across the the street to be able to almost hit somebody in the head. But as you look at Baylor coming in this weekend, obviously they made the change. Coach Rodriguez now with the University of Texas coaching third base, and they brought in Mitch Thompson to be the head coach there. They don't seem to have things going the way that they want to at Baylor just yet. But if you know anything about Mitch Thompson, he's going to go get good players. He's going to be able to get these guys to buy into the program. What do you see the Baylor Bears as this week's opponent?
I think it's a case of who's going to show up. I don't think their pitching numbers are indicative of what their staff was capable of. Mason Marriott, the guy that's going on Friday night, he's 0-3 on the season. But if you've watched some of his performances, he has a heavy fastball and a slider that keeps batters at bay. I mean, he can do a really good job. And so I think that if they can come out and do what they did against Texas Tech, which, they held them to a 174 hitting average over a weekend series, they'll be able to be right there in the game with Texas. But if they're committing to errors, if they're failing to get run support for their starting pitchers, I think they're going to be in trouble.
Speaking of the errors, I was talking to David Pierce yesterday. He joins me every Thursday at 8:40, and we were talking about the defense. Obviously, Troy Tulowitzki being on the staff is always going to be able to help this team on the defensive side of the ball and just the approach, period. But when you're watching this team, it's uncharacteristically they've been making more errors than I remember them making over the last few years. Is this something that you've noticed as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually doing some research on this the other day, and with a 967 average, it's only one tick above where they finished the worst since Coach Pierce has been at Texas, which was back in 2019 when they finished with a 966 fielding average. They've got some really talented kids on the infield. I think it's just been a couple of circumstances where they're rushing or, they're trying to protect those pitchers a lot because the pitchers haven't been as clean. And so the new advanced stats, right? Z contact rate. How often are pitches being hit that are in the zone? Texas is pretty high up there, so they're not missing a lot of bats. They're fielding a lot more balls, and I think that has something to play with it.
Well, it's funny that you say that because of the fact that they are throwing strikes and putting the ball in play, which is a little bit different than what we've seen because we expect to see some strikeouts. With LeBaron Johnson going tonight, what are you expecting to see from him? Because of the simple fact he pitched well last week, but he didn't get the victory. So you start to look at it. I mean, he had 10 strikeouts in the game that they ended up losing. What do you need to see from LeBaron Johnson to make you believe that he's got his good stuff going again?
I think always for him early on in the first inning, you want to see how he's locating that sinker of his. If he's got too much downward run, he's going to start spiking it. But if he's got early command of the fastball, it's going to be lights out for him on the evening because then he can keep them off tilt with the slider, and they're not going to be able to catch what he's coming because then he can mix in that splitter, which he hasn't used as much this season as he did last year. But yeah, it's just the early command. If he's pounding the zone, it's going to be a long night for the hitters.
We're talking to Zach Sim. You can follow him at Zach at the Dish on Twitter. Great stuff for orangebloods.com. So I want to ask you this. We've been talking about it. Obviously, March Madness is kind of taking over. There's good basketball being played. Texas wins last night. Who is your NCAA tournament champion on your March Madness bracket? Because I know you had to do one. Everybody does one.
Yeah, I've got a couple brackets, but in both of my brackets, I have Houston winning it all. I think that's a talented team they've got down there, and they seem to have that grit that takes to make a late run in March and grind it out.
How far you got the Horns going?
Unfortunately, I do have them losing to their former coach, Rick Barnes, against Tennessee. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. Tennessee has a history of flaming out early as well. So maybe Terry's got the boys going after last night's struggles.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Zach, I want to thank you. Make sure you get over to Twitter and follow him at Zach at the Dish. We're gonna make this a regular thing, bud, because I appreciate your content.
Absolutely appreciate you, and hope you have a wonderful Friday. Hope to see you out of the ballpark soon.
You definitely will. You'll see me tonight because I'll be calling the game tonight for AM 1300 The Zone. There's my guy, Zach Sim. You can follow him on Twitter at Zach at the Dish. Hey, when we come back, that was a good conversation right there, too, by the way. Good breakdown as we continue to make things happen here on the Hard Knocks Life. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Texas women and get you ready to go to the Moody Center today. That's right. We got some more information. And I want to let you hear Coach Vic Schaefer talk about Madison Booker one more time. Right here on the Hard Knocks Life on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. and what the outlook is, because I believe this Texas baseball team, they're going to go on a little bit of a run here in just a little bit. It starts tonight, though. I mean, you got a 10-game homestand that ends on Tuesday as you play Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, as they will come in. But you got Big 12 matchup right now, and you get a chance to play the Baylor Bears. But most we're going to talk a little bit about Vic Schaefer and Madison Booker. Madison Booker, the Big 12 Player of the Year, most outstanding player in the Big 12 tournament. And Coach Vic was asked by my man Greg Swindell and Keith Moreland on the Longhorn Network as he was part of the baseball game the other day, throwing out the first pitch. Swindell asked him about Madison Booker. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, y'all, that kid is so many ways humble. That's why she's so good.
Damn.
It's amazing. It's amazing that she's only a freshman and she's getting this many accolades. And she's very humble about it. It looks like she genuinely cares about her teammates. They genuinely care about each other. And as I said before, Coach Vic Schaefer has done an unbelievable job in recruiting. As a matter of fact, my man Pat King hit me up on Twitter and he said, "You forgot next year that Vic signed 2 5-stars that include Justice Carlton and Jordan Lee, McDonald's All-American." So they're going to get better. They're definitely going to get better. So it is going to be good things happening around the 40 acres for quite some time when it comes to women athletics. But you need to get over there today. They tip off at 2:00 at the Moody Center. You can go over there, watch Vic Schaefer and his ladies take on Drexel, and then come across the street and watch the Texas baseball team as they host the Baylor Bears for Big 12 play as they get right back in to Big 12 play. It's impressive when you start to think again how everything is working, and it is funny when you start to think about this Texas baseball team, Texas basketball team, Texas football team, and how everything is starting to shift. As I said earlier, we don't even talk about the tennis team and the golf team and the swimming and diving team and all of their accolades that they have as well. So when you start thinking about Texas athletics and you're starting to look at what Chris Del Conte has been able to build as far as hiring the right people, getting the right players into the forefront with the coaches. So there is unbelievable when you start to think about what's been happening with this team. I've been very impressed with the movement around the 40 acres. Hour number 1 is in the books. We'll give you the results of the poll questions that we put out there. And now we will make sure that we give you that opportunity to figure out how you're going to get into the women's basketball game. If you're a student, Michael Huff has something for you. We'll be right back on the Hard Knocks Life right here on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. when you say that Texas gets it until 2004, you start to believe it's like, man, that's been a minute. That is figured out how this thing is starting to work. And now you're hoping to have this happen multiple years. So now you start to look at it. You can take off today. Vic Schaefer wants y'all to take off. But if you're a student at the University of Texas, Michael Huff has a message for you. So make sure you're paying attention.
Michael Huff here. Y'all know
So if you're a University of Texas student and you do not have tickets to the game tonight, Michael Huff is going to buy you tickets. All you have to do is get to the Southwest ticket office, bring your ID, and you can get in to the basketball game. And not only that, he's extended the offer. He basically has told you, if you can get to, if they win on Friday, you get it on Sunday too. You cannot beat this type of deal. You cannot beat this type of deal when you get a chance to watch the number 1 seeded Texas Longhorns. They are the number 4 seed overall, but they are number 1 in this region. And they got 2 games possibly at the Moody Center. So make sure you get over there. As I've told you before, Texas is 30-4 on the season. The only other Power 5 team to have 30 wins is South Carolina. And South Carolina is the defending national champions. And they're 32-0. So you get first and second round matchups Friday and Sunday. We don't know what time the game is going to be on Sunday, depending on how the matchups kind of shape out and seeing if this game will be better in prime time, early or late. We'll find out after Friday, after tonight. But you need to make sure you go out and support that team. As we've talked about, Madison Booker is the first freshman and the first player in women's Big 12 basketball history to be named Player of the Year. First freshman to ever be named Big 12 Player of the Year. Coach Vic Schaefer is up the semifinalist for the Naismith Award. And here's the deal. And I was thinking about this because when you hear semifinalists about the Naismith Award, you think of all these other coaches and what they've been able to do and achieve, like Gino Ariema, Don Staley, 32-0. I mean, you start thinking about all of these teams. But did any of these teams have to deal with what Coach Vic Schaefer had to deal with by losing their top player and then winning the Big 12, winning their conference without their best player, finding out that you have another gem in Madison Booker, rallying the troops because Aaliyah Moore, who for most of the season wasn't able to even practice a lot and still be able to go out there and do the things that they've been able to do. I don't think any other coach has been put in that situation. Maybe Gino Ariema last year when Paige Buchers went out. So you start looking at it and you're like, well, maybe, but I personally don't think so. You know, Kim Mulkey has done a great job as always. I know people don't like Kim Mulkey, but she's one heck of a coach, regardless if you like her or not. And she'll tell you, I don't care. I don't care if you like me. I'll start a fight anyway. But, you know, you start looking at all of this and you're saying, Vic Schaefer has done one heck of a job. Now, the job's not finished. We heard him last week when he told them, ladies, I want to win 6 more games. That's all I need is 6 more games from you. And I believe they have a squad to do that. I mean, they find ways to get those victories. Yes, they've had losses, 4 losses. I understand that. But the differences that are being made right now, when you start to look at this team, you start to truly believe that they got an opportunity to make some things happen. So you start thinking about it and you're like, well, how can we get to that moment? Well, they're doing it right now and they're making some things happen. And I know we're having some audio issues. I know most of y'all can't hear it, but those that are listening on the stream, or not on the stream, but on the phones or on your car radio, you'll be able to hear this. I'm sorry for those that can't hear it on the stream, but Vic Schaefer wants everybody to be ready for this opportunity because Texas women are definitely ready. So you have Vic Schaefer writing an excuse for you. You got Michael Huff giving you some free tickets. And if you don't have tickets, I can tell you where to get them. You can go to texassports.com/tickets and you can get your tickets there. But Vic Schaefer, they've already posted online on Texas's website. They gave you a note where you can skip work. They've already filled it out for you. All you got to do is enter your name, print it out, and you're good to go. Vic Schaefer already let you know, I got you, because he wants your support, and so do those young ladies as they continue their journey to get into the Big 12. Get into the March Madness and the NCAA tournament, because it's all about to go down right now. When we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit more. We got some Texas men's basketball that we definitely want to get into. And the third segment, I want to talk to you about Shohei Ohtani and this issue that is going on. It is not with baseball. It has everything to do with what's going to happen after they get to the bottom of this scandal, because that's exactly what it's turned out to be. It's turned out to be this scandal. It's not a good look for Major League Baseball. He is the face of Major League Baseball, and trying to get somebody to be a scapegoat in this situation is also not a good look. But we'll talk about Texas men's basketball, recap and hear from Rodney Terry. We'll hear from the players. I'm sorry if you can't hear it on the StreamYard, but also just play your app and be able to listen to it on that. Get on the app. I'm sorry. I know y'all want to see me on the StreamYard, but sometimes we got to go through difficulties to get to the promised land. We'll be back in just a moment right here on the Hard Knocks Live on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. Really excited for the Texas men's basketball team and what they've been able to accomplish here in the postseason. We've talked about it multiple times. Obviously, people are still trying to figure out, because it wasn't a great game by the Texas basketball team. Let's just be honest, but they were able to get the victory, 56-44, Colorado State. The defense was playing at an unbelievable level when you start to think Texas was winning at halftime 27-11. Now they got outscored in the second half, which is something that they've done over the season and something that they need to address immediately, especially now that they're getting ready to face Rick Barnes and his Tennessee Mount. What are they called? The Tennessee Volunteers, Mountaineers, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So you sit there and I'm just messing with y'all. But you sit there and you think about this game and what they're going to be capable of doing. But most importantly, they got this win. And during that time that we win, that Texas wins the basketball game, a little bit of news was made when it says that Brock Cunningham has won the most games in the postseason as a Texas player. That's hilarious to me, especially when you think about this team and what they mean to each other. You start to look around and you say, Max A. Smith, senior, Ethiel Horton, senior. You look at Brock Cunningham, 8th-year senior. You look at Dylan DeSue. I mean, this entire team has been together for quite some time. Some guys new, obviously, A. Smith and Horton, but Brock means so much to everybody that has seen him play, from Westlake High School, being able to come over to the University of Texas, him and Shay Holly going to Westlake together, being those glue people on both the men's and women's basketball teams. It's been really impressive when you start to look at his career and what he's been able to accomplish. It's a fun ride. It's an interesting ride, that is for sure. But then you also want to look at some of the other players and what they had to say about the basketball game and what was going on with that. So we got a chance to listen to some of the post game from the players. It's the beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing when your team is connected like that. You heard the words connected. You heard them playing good defense, the aggressive style in which they played, holding a team to 11 points in an NCAA tournament matchup. That is what Coach Rodney Terry has been talking about. That is the things that every time you step on the floor, you want to make sure that you're dialed in, knowing your assignment and what's very important. Last night, they kept their point guard, Isaiah Simmons. They kept him locked up. They had him figured out and what he's been able to do and the way that they went about it. Then you had Dylan Mitchell start the game and be able to be effective. And those are some of the things, too, that he hadn't been starting lately. They put Ethiel Horton, Dylan Mitchell, Tyrese Hunter, Dylan DeSue, and Max A. Smith all into the starting lineup. and they made things happen immediately. But Kendall Weaver being able to come off the bench and be that guy, that explosive player. We talked about it going into it. His energy brings everybody else's up another notch. He played 29 minutes and didn't start the game yesterday. He was 5 of 7 from the field. He had 2 offensive rebounds, 2 defensive rebounds. He did have 2 fouls, but he had a steal. He was putting stats up, and he was taking care of the basketball. Those are the things that you want to continually see from him, because once he was in the lineup, things were good, but then kind of worked his way out of the starting lineup, and Rodney Terry doing what he always does, getting that opportunity and giving these guys a chance to go out there and play and show what they're all about has been an impressive move by all of them. I continue to try to figure out this, though. You start thinking about how you can achieve certain things and who's going to be that next person. Like, this is going to be a big matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee is a physical basketball team. And if you know anything about Rick Barnes and how he gets his teams to play, you know already that is going to be all about the physicality. The physicality is something that they've gone after for years. You knew it when they were here, when he was here at the University of Texas, and the expectations of every team that was coached by a Rick Barnes, and then everything that happened after that. You had different coaches, obviously, but when the game starts to break down and you start to see who is going where, you're like, oh, okay, that's how they're going to play. That's the physicality. That's the movement in which that they have created for other people. So tomorrow, it's going to be a big matchup when you start to look at Tennessee versus the Texas Longhorns. Who's going to be able to make that big step? Who's going to be that guy to be able to stop down their scores? Because they defeated St. Peter's 83-49. That's a domination. They dominated that game. So when you start to look at what's happening and you got to figure out who's going to guard who, it's going to be a tough task for the Texas Longhorns. I think they can get it done. Now that they're in the tournament, anything goes, anything's possible. They got to control the point guard, Ziegler. If they can stop him, then and not let him get into his flow, because he's tough. He's tough. So I'm assuming that's going to be the call for Tyrese Hunter. And I believe that Tyrese is going to be the guy that can handle that. But then you got to look at everybody else on that squad. They had good bench scoring yesterday as well. So this is a tough task for the University of Texas as they get ready to play. But to me, I think this plays right into the hands of what Texas is looking for, though. If you sit back and you really look at what they've been able to do this year, whenever they have big opponents, they play well. When they're up against big teams, they play well. They put themselves in a good position when they get ready to play those highly ranked basketball teams. We talked about it. At one point, they played 6 ranked teams in a row, and they went 3-3 during that time. So Texas is a team that we've talked about. If they catch lightning in a bottle and they're able to get to that point, this is an opportunity for them to see exactly what's going to be happening and if they're able to bring it. So the game is on Saturday night. It'll be on CBS at 7:00, but you can listen to it right here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone, because my man Craig Way, who is one of the hardest, if not the hardest working man in athletics, especially doing this radio thing, because he'll do a baseball game, do a basketball game, and then do a women's basketball game. Dude is all over the place, and he does such a great job. So Craig Way and Eddie Orrin will be on the broadcast. CBS, it'll be Brian Anderson from Georgetown, and Jimmy Jackson and Allie LaForce will be on those calls as well. Because if you're going to listen on the radio, you need to be listening right here on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. The matchup with Tennessee, I'm going with Texas. I'm going to pick Texas. Now, I didn't pick them in my bracket. I had these two matching up in my bracket. But if they can go out there and match the physicality and the referees don't call cheap fouls in this matchup, I think Texas will push them to the wire. The line already was told is like 8 or 6.5 to 8 for Tennessee. I think Texas covers that. Unless they go out there and do what they did yesterday and get that cold of a shooting performance, that was a bad shooting performance. Like I said yesterday, they were 1 of 14 from three-point land, and they shot 40% as a team and 64% from the free throw line. They have to get better. They have to get better. Regardless of the great defense, it's great that they won the game because they were playing good defense. But other than that, you don't want to see that at all anymore. You don't want to see that type of action from the University of Texas. So we will see how it plays out. I'm excited for it. I want to make sure that everybody is good to go. But I do want y'all to hear from Jay Wright. Jay Wright talking about the NIL, because yesterday we saw the loss of John Calipari in Kentucky, losing a first-round matchup for the fourth time in consecutive years. And here is Jay Wright talking about the NIL ending the era of successful freshmen. That's interesting because, everybody was talking about freshmen and what's going on and how excited they are, the Fab Five back in the day. And, Calipari every single year has a bunch of freshmen on his squad. And everybody praises him. Oh, he's got the one and dones. He's done a great job of educating them and blah. Now they're talking about the guy from Oakland who, 25 years old probably, shooting all those threes, making those 10 threes during the game yesterday to to upend the goal of Kentucky. But that's not their fault. You got to play who's up against you. And we can always say it's amazing to me how NIL helps one school and hurts another. It's amazing how kids want to actually stay in school because they know that the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, because it's not like football where you have all these numbers that are in your favor to find a position on the field. This is basketball. That bench is small. There's not a lot of spaces that are there. So if you get a kid that wants to stay in school, because the NBA is not obviously going to draft a guy, he stays in, works on his craft, and gets better every single year and helps his team achieve what they achieved last night. Why are you knocking that? I truly don't understand how that could be not. I think that Texas a while back didn't have to have those one and done guys. I think Texas, if they wanted to truly build, sometimes you got to get those scrappers. You got to get those junkyard dogs. Yes, everybody wants the elite 5-star, but to build your program, to be able to do what you put in place, you want to make sure that is how it goes. You got to start with special players that want to be here, i.e., Brock Cunningham. He is a person that will help you set a foundation. Shay Holly for the women's side. Foundational players that build from within and helps build your culture. That's what you need. So I do agree with a little bit of what Jay Wright said, but I don't agree with everything that Jay Wright said. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, because don't make excuses for Coach Cal. He's one of the best coaches that is out there, but a lot of people are still saying that he's a little overrated. And right now, 79% saying that. And our Covert Huddle plays of the week right now, big man from Oakland hitting those 10 threes is winning on that one as well at 58%. When we come back, we're going to try to figure out what's going on with Shohei Ohtani. And is he part of one of the biggest scandals in professional sports? I'm going to say yeah. Right here on the Hard Knocks Life on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. Welcome back to the Hard Knocks Life. Listen, there's so much that has been going on. I want to give you a stat real quick before I get into this Shohei Ohtani story that's kind of crazy. You know that guy, Jack Golick, the kid who made 10 threes for Oakland yesterday. So I did a little bit of diving, deep dive on this guy. He had no Division I offers on the way out of high school. He played at a Division II school, Hilldale College, for 5 seasons. He was doing Uber and DoorDash on the side. And then he entered the transfer portal before this season, and he only received one D1 offer. So for all those kids that are out there that are trying to figure out what they're going to do with their life, and they feel like they're not getting those opportunities that they might need, 2 things. Number 1, continue to work hard, continue to grind, continue to put your effort in. But number 2, all universities are good universities. You may want to go to the big school. You may want to see your name in lights. You can still get all of that to happen, but you have to be able to put the grind in. As I just said, this dude went to a D2 school, had no offers coming out of high school, and then he only had one offer after playing 5 seasons at a D2 school. And here he is, lighting the world up on fire, 10 3-pointers, able to make things happen. So continue to work, kids. And I know that my son is probably in the car right now listening. So shout out to you, DJ. You're going to be just fine, my brother. I'm not worried about you. But I want to go into this story about Shohei Ohtani. Yes, I've been following it. I haven't brought it up yet. I was waiting for the right moment. And this is the right moment right now. Shohei Ohtani, in this situation that he is in, and he put it on his interpreter. An interpreter who had racked up a $4.5 million debt, supposedly. But here's the story, and what everybody continues to look at and say, man, we're not that dumb, and I hope not, people. How is this man going to rack up a $4.5 million debt in gambling, and he makes $200,000 a year as an interpreter? How long has this been happening? And I know some guys that work in that business. They don't ever let you get to that. They don't ever put you in that situation because they know they're never getting their money, or they own you. So everything you do, you're watching over your shoulder. They're popping up, tapping you, just saying hi. How much, and watching you in the bar spending money when you owe them money. So to me, this story reeks of, now him being the face of Major League Baseball, the face of it, making all this money, deferred the money actually this year. He's only making $2 million this year, which is probably why he deferred it, because he owed some people some money and was like, hold up, I got an issue that's going on right here, and I don't want a lot of people in my business, so I'm going to go ahead and defer a lot of this money. But it also brings me back, and I showed this picture yesterday, to Pete Rose. Pete Rose has been suspended from Major League Baseball for a long time because they said that he was gambling. What are you going to do with Shohei Ohtani in this situation if it is led to be true? Pete Rose was already out. I mean, he was just coaching. He wasn't the face of Major League Baseball. He wasn't the face of making these things where you're promoting. We just did Seoul, Korea for opening day because they wanted to make sure that everybody internationally got a chance to watch it. He is the face. That's the only reason why I believe that they would have taken the Dodgers and the Padres, because Yu Darvish was on the other side. So now you're taking everybody back, and now you're promoting. He signs this big deal with the Dodgers, and he has a fall guy of the interpreter that had to be fired. Now, the interpreter said he's not going to speak. He's not, he declined all offers of an interviews and all this other stuff, which is probably part of his settlement with this team. I'm sure he's still getting paid money from Ohtani because Ohtani, that's what you do. If somebody takes the fall for you, you have to continue to help this man have a lifestyle. Because now he can't get a job anywhere else as an interpreter because they're going to think that he's swindling money. And now you're putting him out there and say that, oh, he took money from me. And then the story changed again and said, oh, he didn't take money. I had to wire money to pay off his debts. So therefore, I can't do this. Bro, Shohei is in trouble. Major League Baseball is now in trouble. Rob Manfred already talking about he's retiring in the near future. That might be moved up because this is on his watch now. And everybody's already been on Rob Manfred, whether they like the new rules. There's a new rule about blocking the base now that is awful. It is one of the dumbest rules in baseball. There's a lot of them. But this one, they actually put into effect that you cannot impede somebody from sliding into second base by with your foot or knee to block the bag. None of that is ever done intentional. It's because of the throw. There was a play yesterday. Lindor got the play at second base, tagged the bag, tagged the runner by a mile. He was out. And they let him stay because they said he went down and blocked the bag, which was not even it wasn't even close to being that. But here's we are with this Shohei Ohtani situation. And so CBS did a great job of some of the biggest scandals in baseball. They're going all the way back to, 1865. I'm not going all the way back. I don't even know if they even had rules back then. We don't even know what they were playing baseball with. But I will go to 1919 because of the Black Sox scandal. Shoeless Joe Jackson, who they are still trying to keep out of Cooperstown, who was one of the best baseball players to ever play the game in that time. So he was part of that, a betting scandal. Then you look at what happened with McClain, Denny McClain. He was bookmaking and had a lot of activities. He had to pay off a debt because the people came to look for him and they were going to hurt him. And they said, this is the story, which suggests that McClain suffered an injured foot that sidelined him during the pennant race because he was stomped on by a hoodlum because he owed $46,000. So you start thinking about all the things that have happened. And again, we talk about Pete Rose, the investigation, how he's being kept out of Cooperstown and what's going on. It is a crazy, crazy time for Major League Baseball. And I am going to be paying close attention to what is going on with Shohei Ohtani and Major League Baseball and how they're going to handle it. Because there's going to be an investigation by a ton of people. Because it don't even have to be Major League Baseball that's going to do it. It'll be Jeff Passan. It'll be somebody that with the inside knowledge that will break a story about Buster Only. He's all over it. So they're going to be looking at all of this. So it's going to be an interesting time. When we come back, we're going to finish off the show and talk a little bit about Texas baseball as I will be on the call tonight. And we will preview the Texas women's basketball team as they get ready to play Drexel at 2 p.m. Michael Huff got tickets for you if you're a student. We'll be back right here on the Hard Knocks Life on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. Love it. I'm excited about this. We got a lot going on here on the 40 acres. As I said, Texas baseball tonight. You can hear the game right here on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. Myself and Roger Wallace will be on the call, so I'm super excited to work with Roger. You can also check out the women's game. I believe it's going to be on this station, AM 1300, The Zone. That's at 2 o'clock, so we got a busy day on The Zone. Really excited about that. But the Texas women, they start tonight, or this afternoon. They start at 2 o'clock over at the Moody Center. You got 2 games at the Moody Center today, Texas and Drexel, and Alabama versus Florida State. That game will be at 4:30. The time for Texas will be at 2 o'clock. That's at 4:30. And then Sunday, we'll find out the time as they finish out all of the games, and then they'll let you know what times the games will be played on Sunday. But right now, I want you to hear from Coach Vic Schaefer. Vic Schaefer is excited, as always, because you know why? It's a great day to be a Longhorn. Love Vic Schaefer and what he's been able to do with this university, the energy that they bring to the Moody Center, and the way that he presents everything to his team. He's done a great job of getting the nation to follow this team, the Longhorn Nation for sure. But if you can't get there, if you don't have a ticket, well, go to texassports.com/tickets to go and purchase your tickets for a reserved or a general admission ticket. But that's for the adults. I'm talking about for the kids, the students at the University of Texas. They are asking for all the students, because you get rowdy at these games. They want you to be in attendance. What better way to spend your Friday afternoon than cheering on some of your classmates? But if you don't have a ticket, my man Michael Huff has something for you that you should take advantage of. That's an offer you can't refuse. I bet you Shohei Ohtani will take you up on that. He's a lock for that. Southwest box office over there. His interpreter needs some help right now. So we'll see what's going to happen. But I'm excited for this Texas women's team. Go out and support. If you have the ability to go there, make sure you get there. I don't have a student ID, but I probably will be in attendance. I will be over at Texas baseball today as they host Baylor for a 3-game series to continue this homestand that will end on Tuesday against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. But today, support the Texas women. Tonight, support Texas baseball. And tomorrow, we get to do it all over again. I'm excited about it. I want to thank my man Khalil producing the show, my man Andrew coming up from San Antonio to help us out as well. But I want to thank you, the people, as always, for tuning in to the Hard Knocks Life. I want you to continue to do that. I want you to tell 5 friends to tell 5 friends, and hopefully we can all stay friends. But like always, don't believe everything you see, because even salt looks like sugar. Peace. Have a great weekend.